Evening, guys. Brian again. So what I got tonight's a little bit different, I guess. Working on a excuse me. Working on a new cover. A little bit more complicated than some of the ones I've posted before. And when I finally show it all, when I finally do have it on here ready to go, you'll understand why, because I have some explanation to go with it. But anyway, just kind of keeping it quiet tonight. Turns out my guitar playing is starting to scare the dog to death, so I don't know why now instead of months previous. But anyway, I thought I'd cover something that was I still hear a lot of opinions about, and I've gotten questions from people, and I really don't, there does not seem to be a definitive answer, but I'll just kind of go over some of the stuff that I've heard, different theories. So what I'm going to talk about is, and this is not limited just to Gibson and Fender guitars, although the ones everybody always talks about when they say a Gibson type or a Fender type. They must have been the originators, or they're more popular examples of this. But there's other companies that use this. So what I'm talking about when I say Gibson type or Fender type, you're usually talking about the main thing would be how the neck joins the body. And let's see, I don't know if I can get a good angle on that or not, but I've got my Gibson Kirk Douglas SG. Man, it's a beautiful guitar, isn't it? Anyway, okay, so this is obviously this is a Gibson type. Now what that is, very dark finish. Probably can't show it, but or can't see it on the video. But what that is the neck joins into the body, is glued in, or what they call a set neck. So there's no screws holding that in. It's just heavy-duty glue in there. You've got a pocket hollowed out here in the body, and this neck slides in and it's glued in, and then it's, you know, maybe given a little bit more reinforcement by that pick guard, maybe that pickup. I'm not exactly sure how deep back it goes in there, but anyway, that's almost, with just a few exceptions, but almost every Gibson electric guitar is set up that way. They tried some bolt necks for a while. Well, I think they have a new model this year that they're bringing that back, but for a try. But anyway, most Gibson electrics are glued in. Okay, so put that example aside for a minute. Alright, pick up the old Memphis Super Strat. That is a bolt-in neck, and you can see the neck plate back there with the screws in it. So, carved out a neck pocket in the body, just like on the Gibson. And neck slides in there, but it is bolted in instead of glued. So, where the pros and cons of each, is one better than another? I'm not sure if one's better than another or not. I'll just tell you some things I've come across. So on the bolt-in neck, now this will take a lot more kinds of abuse than a glued-in neck. I don't do this, but there's players that will like hold on the body of their guitar and kind of anchor it with their arm, and they'll actually push on the neck to get bending effects, or pull back on it and push and pull. I mean, they're essentially bending the neck instead of bending the strings, but it does about the same thing. Now, some examples of people that do that. Brad Paisley is a big user of that. Slash does it a lot. The difference is Brad plays a Fender Telecaster or Telecaster style guitars, bolt-in necks. He's never had one break on him, but you will have to adjust the truss rod every once in a while because it does twist the neck around. Slash, on the other hand, playing Gibson Les Pauls, they're glued-in necks. He's actually busted one on stage while he was doing that. I think it was one of his favorites too, so maybe he doesn't do that anymore. But I don't use the technique. I never would, no matter what kind of guitar it is. I just like my guitars too much. That just seems like a automatic recipe for a disaster to me, but there's lots of people that do it, so that's an advantage over the bolt-in necks. Now, is there a difference sound-wise? Some people claim, and there's no good proof on this, some people claim that a glued-in neck actually sustains better and longer than a bolt-in neck. I've not found any evidence to that. I mean, whether something's going to sustain or not seems to do more with your bridge, your electronics, and your nut up here at by the headstock. That seems to play more, or have a lot more to do with if that's going to happen, or that's just been my experience. Now, some people will swear by one or another, but you look over the message boards on the internet, I mean, there's just no definitive proof either way. It's just what somebody thinks. And of course, that's what I'm saying is what I think. Now, some things I have noticed. Here's an advantage to me of having a glued-in neck or set neck as opposed to a bolt-in. You know, I'm sure there's a few of us out there, and you know, I'll admit it, every once in a while in my life something might have happened, you know, where I had to go to a pawn shop and pawn a guitar to get some cash for some unexpected bill or car trouble. You know, that's the nice thing about having nice guitars, they give you more for them. But anyway, so I got a friend that works at a pawn shop, was talking with them the other day, and they were telling me that it's almost gotten to a point where they will not take Fender guitars on pawn anymore, especially Fender Strats, and for a couple reasons. First of all, any pawn shop you go into, and there are just so many, besides Fender and Squier, which is owned by Fender, besides those two, there are almost every other company makes a version of the Stratocaster. You know, some of them are about as good, some of them are superior, most of them are just absolute crap. It's just my experience. I mean, there's not very many good Fender Strat copies, so that's one reason why they're not taking as many anymore. There are just so many of them, and that's all you see when you go into most pawn shops is Strat copies. But the other reason, because Strats have the bolt-on neck, let's say you get a Fender Squier, or I'm sorry, not a Fender Squier, a Squier Strat for 120 bucks, which I have one back here somewhere. It's a white one. I've got a video of it on here. Let's say I get that. Okay, I take that neck off. Somehow I'm able to find a Fender Strat neck that has the stamped Made in the USA on it. You know, which you can get those aftermarket. They're all over eBay and different sites. I think, you know, you might pay $100 or something, maybe a little bit more, but you get the neck with the tuners on it, and it's got the stamped Made in the USA. It's no problem at all just to take that neck and put it in the Squier body. They fit almost exactly. and screw it in. And so then automatically you've got a made in the USA Fender Strat, take it in the pawn shop, get more money for it. Well, I was talking with her, and they've gotten burned on so many of those the last couple months. Somebody pulling that trick, which, I mean, I thought surely this would have been going on for years. Maybe it's just catching up in my area now, I don't know. But so many people have pulled that trick. It's gotten to a point now, if somebody brings in an American Standard Stratocaster to pawn, they are told before they even begin, okay, we'll do that if you'll let me undo the neck and check the serial number, because there's a serial number on the bottom there and something matching the body usually. And obviously if it's somebody trying to pull a fake, they'll pull out of the deal. But if it's a legitimate guitar, they may still pull out of the deal, because actually, and it's kind of hard to explain if you don't play, even if it's a bolt-on neck, if you take it off and put it back on, you don't just put it right back on with no problems. You have to reset intonation and everything, and you have to get the angle just exactly right to where it was to make it play and sound the way you want. I mean, it's just not a perfect fit. They give a little bit of wobble room, and sometimes you might have like a little wood shim in there or something that's actually propping it up at the angle that you need it at, and you undo that and you don't know, it comes out and you don't know where it was set, and it's a hassle, you know. At best you might have to take it to a music store and have a guy over there who does setups, you know, redo it for you. You'll be out $100. At worst, you know, you can never get it true again to where it was set. So that's a problem with that. Now, Gibson guitars, glued in neck, that's not a problem. That neck does not come out without some great force anyway. But I mean, if the neck had been tampered with, you would be able to see, because you can see that the finish has been broken and that's been tampered with, and there's cracks on it, and so as a result, if you're needing to borrow quick money for a bill, Gibson guitars will get you more money, a lot less hassle at a pawn shop than a American-made Fender Strat or Telecaster. So that's just a little thing to point out that I don't know that everybody's ever mentioned on here when they're talking about glued-in necks as opposed to bolt-ins. That's one clear advantage. You know, other than that, tone-wise, like I said, I really can't tell any difference, except for what you're hearing different usually is the different bridge and the different electronics. And really, you know, wood really doesn't matter that much. Better wood makes for a nicer instrument, longer lasting instrument, but it's not going to sound so much terribly greater than, say, you know, something of a little bit cheaper quality. It's got similar electronics, and you're running through the same kind of amp settings you like, it's going to do basically the same thing. You buy nicer guitars because you want something that's going to last for a while and be collectible.